The episode picks up several months after Selina first began quietly protecting Gotham. The city still believes almost universally that Batman is truly gone, a legend from a darker chapter, mourned and memorialized but firmly in the past. John Blake, though, has spent those same months growing more and more convinced that Bruce Wayne left something behind in this city that nobody else has bothered to look for. Gotham has been experiencing a pattern that doesn't quite add up if you look at it closely enough. Criminal operations keep getting shut down before police units can even arrive on scene, sometimes minutes before, sometimes with the criminals already tied up and waiting for someone to come collect them. Security cameras occasionally catch a blurry figure crossing rooftops at impossible speed, gone before anyone can get a clear look at a face or even a silhouette worth describing. The department's official theory is that it's all the same vigilante, the one the papers have taken to calling the new Catwoman, the one everyone assumes is working alone, cleaning up whatever corner of the city she happens to be passing through that night. Blake knows better than that, even if he can't quite explain why yet, even to himself. Something about the way certain operations get shut down feels different from the rest. Heavier, more calculated, more deliberate than anything Selina's style suggests when he compares the reports side by side late at night at his desk. It reminds him of Batman, of the handful of times he actually crossed paths with the man himself years ago. But Batman is dead. At least, that's what everyone in this city, including Blake himself for a long time, has trained themselves to believe without question. Blake starts quietly investigating Bruce's final days on his own time, working the case the way nobody assigned him to, but he can't stop himself from pursuing anyway, staying late after his shifts ostensibly to catch up on paperwork. He pulls old police records, digs through whatever Wayne Enterprises documents he can still access through channels that are technically supposed to be close to him, and goes back over everything connected to the nuclear attack one more time, slower this time, more carefully than the department ever bothered to the first time around. Something about it has never sat right with him. Bruce Wayne had practically no reason to even be near the bat the night the bomb went off, let alone be the one flying it out over the water himself. Wayne Enterprises had contractors for exactly that kind of operation, trained pilots who never got the call that night. And yet Bruce deliberately chose to take it out of the city himself, at the cost of his own life, with nobody forcing his hand or ordering him into that cockpit. Blake keeps circling back to the same question he can't shake. Why would a man like Bruce Wayne, wealthy, detached, largely a stranger to most of the city, sacrifice everything for a place that barely understood him, let alone appreciated him? Then a memory surfaces on its own, one he hasn't thought about in months. A conversation the two of them had before the attack, quiet and almost offhand at the time, where Bruce told him that sometimes people need something to believe in, more than they need the truth. That single sentence starts haunting Blake in a way he can't quite shake off, following him through every shift at the precinct. Eventually, following little more than instinct, Blake drives out to Wayne Manor, abandoned and quiet since Bruce's death, ivy already starting to creep up the old stone walls. Walking through the empty rooms, he notices something small but wrong, a section of the floor that looks like it's been disturbed recently, scuffed in a way the surrounding dust hasn't been. He investigates further and finds a hidden mechanism tucked into the wall nearby. It gives way beneath his hand, revealing a passage leading down into darkness. He follows it underground, one careful step at a time, until the passage opens into total blackness. Then the lights activate around him, one bank at a time, and the space reveals itself. The Batcave. Blake freezes where he's standing, unable to move for a long moment as the full scale of what's in front of him sinks in. He walks slowly through the cave, taking in everything piece by piece. The vehicles lined up in the dark, engines silent but somehow still ready, the weapons racked neatly along one wall, banks of computers and surveillance equipment still humming quietly like nobody ever told them to shut down, and a row of old batsuits standing in their cases like sentries keeping watch over an empty room. Every suspicion Blake has quietly carried for months, every half-formed theory he talked himself out of more than once, is suddenly, undeniably confirmed in front of him all at once. Bruce Wayne was Batman. He stands in front of the empty suit display for a long time, longer than he means to, and for the first time really understands the full scale of what Bruce actually gave up to keep this city standing. Bruce wasn't simply a wealthy man who occasionally wrote a check or showed up at a press conference when the city needed a familiar face. He had spent his entire adult life protecting Gotham from the shadows, night after night, with almost no one ever knowing his name or thanking him for it. Deeper in the cave, Blake finds a hidden computer terminal, dark and waiting behind a password prompt. He tries a few guesses that go nowhere before something clicks. A phrase Bruce once said to him offhand that suddenly feels less like conversation and more like a key left behind on purpose. He types it in. The screen flickers to life. A recorded message from Bruce appears, his face calm and steady on the screen, lit by whatever camera he'd set this up in front of long before any of this happened. He explains that if Blake is watching this, something has happened to him. He doesn't claim to have expected to survive, and he doesn't pretend otherwise, doesn't dress it up as anything other than what it is. What he tells Blake instead matters more than any of that. Batman was never supposed to belong to Bruce Wayne alone. The symbol was always bigger than any one man wearing the cowl, bigger than Bruce himself ever was, bigger than the mansion and the money and the name everyone in Gotham thought they understood. If Gotham ever needs Batman again, it has to be someone else's choice entirely whether to carry that symbol forward. Not an inheritance, not an obligation, a choice. The recording ends there, the screen going dark, leaving Blake alone in the humming quiet of the cave with more questions than he walked in with. Blake leaves the Batcave and starts actively searching for the vigilante everyone in Gotham has been talking about. It doesn't take him long to track her down. Selina reacts immediately, on guard, assuming he's come to expose her identity to the department. But Blake tells her plainly that he already knows about Bruce, that he knows Batman is dead and exactly why. Selina realizes almost instantly that he must have found the cave. They argue, standing there in the dark, about what Bruce actually would have wanted for this city. Blake believes Gotham needs another Batman standing in the shadows again. Selina firmly disagrees. Bruce didn't die so someone could become him, she tells him, flat and certain. Blake doesn't back down. Then why did he leave the cave? He asks her. The question lands harder than he expects, and for a long moment, Selina has no answer at all. Blake returns to the Batcave alone afterward and stands in front of Bruce's suit for a long time, seriously considering putting it on. Then he stops himself. Instead, he quietly closes the display case. He understands now, standing there, that becoming Batman was never really about the suit itself. It was about becoming the kind of person willing to make the same sacrifice Bruce made, without needing the cowl to prove it. Blake begins training on his own after that, not to become Bruce Wayne, not to copy anything Bruce did, but to become something entirely new, built on his own terms. Late one night, Blake stands alone on a Gotham rooftop, watching Selina disappear silently across a nearby building as she moves through her usual patrol. Then he notices something out of place, a small red light blinking steadily on a rooftop directly across from him. Someone is watching him. His hand moves instinctively toward his weapon. The light vanishes instantly. He stares into the darkness where it was, searching for any sign of movement, finding none. Then his phone rings, cutting through the silence. It's Gordon. "John," he says, his voice tight. "We need to talk." Blake looks back out over the city, the lights of Gotham stretching out in every direction beneath him.